Okay.
So I feel like in our group we generated some good discussion, some great ideas. So let's first, I guess I kind of have these questions backwards, but let's first talk about some of the signs that you can recognize. I know that the addiction that we talked about, drugs, sometimes it's a little bit easier, I feel like, to recognize some of the signs of addictions to drugs, because there are actually a lot of physical effects from drugs and you know how they interact with people. But what did you guys talk about in your group as far as media, addictions to media, and signs that you may recognize?
Well, we talked about how it is constantly being brought up, and they'll like randomly put it in a conversation that doesn't make sense. And if they're like addicted to their phone, they're always going to be on it, you know. And
Selfies for days.
well, we also talked about the severity of addiction is different words of it. So like a mild is called passion, and then obsess, and then addiction. And addiction is like the most severe, I think, because it's such a harsh word. Like when you say you're addicted, it means like the most severe of it. But people can like something enough to not maybe be addicted to it, but like obsessed with it, you know?
You know, I heard the word selfie. I know a lot of people who post a lot of selfies or things about themselves on Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, you know, whatever. That could be indicative of a much larger challenge, a problem that they're facing. Because I mean, if I don't want to beat the dead horse, but someone who is constantly in self-betrayal becomes self-absorbed. They become, and they neglect people around them because it all becomes about them and protecting them and putting on the right image of them. And so there could be a whole lot of junk going on if you've got someone who's constantly on their phones. People self-pacify with phones all the time. So there could be huge underlying issues there. So.
I just want to touch on that a little bit. It might also be an esteem issue to take a whole bunch of selfies, because people they lift you up, or they comment, they like, you know. I think there's a dislike button now, which is not very.
They have a dislike button?
No, they don't on Facebook.
I think they made it and then they might have deleted it because
I know that you can give an emo comments a thumb down that you can post.
Okay.
But
Yeah. Well, anyways.
I don't think there are dislikes.
There aren't.
I don't know.
Well, sometimes people just write dislike. You know, like it's. I heard that they made one, but maybe.
Well, I think that we have brought up a good point, and Darren brought up a great point when we were talking about signs and addictions to drugs. Sometimes the addiction that we see, or that we may assume is the addiction or the problem, could be a cover-up or a self-medication, like Darren said, trying to cover up a bigger problem, you know, or a deeper issue that they don't want to face, they don't want to resolve. And the way that they handle that is they self-medicate themselves, whether it's through any type of drug or any type of media addiction or anything else, maybe addicted to, you know, working out or anything, whatever could be an addiction for a person. Do you have a comment on that?
yeah, we touched on that with, we were talking about pornography first, and then we got into cutting as well. And I had a friend that he was super addicted to pornography, and the way he would hide that was his addiction to cut himself. And so he would cut himself, so people would focus on that, but they never see the underlying issue that was he was not happy, he did not think anything of anybody, did not think of anybody, or didn't think anything of himself because of that other addiction that he had. And so that was completely underlying everything, and people would only see the surface level.
Literally.
Literally. That's all they'd see is that surface of, oh, I have this massive scar on my arm that I made myself.
Yeah.
But I made it because I'm addicted to porn.
And that can be it can be difficult because while drugs are dangerous and cutting yourselves are dangerous, there is a physical change that you can see. There are signs you can recognize. The addiction to pornography, the addiction to negativity, being negative about yourself, anything like that. Those are addictions that are tough to see because there's not always a physical change with that person. And you might interact with that person at school and you're like, man, they are just a happy person.
Awesome.
But it's just this facade that they're putting over themselves because really they're addicted to everything negative about themselves. And they put that on themselves.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You can go.
No, you can go.
Okay. I was turning in the light reflection this morning, and it was talking about the eye.
Confessional?
I know, yeah. I said it.
Hey, at least you're turning
Please.
it in. At least you're turning it in. Later now.
It's true. It was about the I thou thing, and as I was talking about it, I was thinking about how pornography it's the ultimate form of the I-it relationship, because you're just turning the other person into an object for your own gratification, and like it just makes me sad, and I can't understand it entirely, but it makes me sad because like the people who are participating or producing the pornography, how do they view themselves? Do they view themselves as I-its as well? Like, are they like, do they just only see themselves like they're only as good as their body is? And then I know there are negative effects. People who do view pornography, they start viewing themselves as an I-it as well, because they start less self-esteem, less trust. Like the world just gets darker for them, and it's just, I don't know. It's just interesting. It's super sad, and it's bad, obviously, but.
I mean, we could go on for hours talking about this stuff, and I think the most important thing to remember is that ultimately, it's not our job to heal that person. We're not a counselor. We are there to be a trusted friend, a student advocate, a leader. Just like these points that we have over here. And guiding them in the direction that they need to go, and giving them the opportunity to make the larger decisions. And so we need to be aware of that, and being aware of recognizing the signs, when we step in and when we've gone too far, and how to bring the empowering decision making to those people.
Yes. Sorry. So what we were talking about is, along with that, is like the priorities that they have, and maybe like if they start missing class, and that's when we'll actually step in, or we notice that their priorities have, that their addiction has overstepped something important in their lives, to just like not bring them, but like kind of help them see reality, and maybe their priorities keep them straight type thing. But I was saying that it's very hard for me to think of scenarios as a mentor, because all I'm thinking about is scenarios as an actual friend. Like if they were addicted to exercise, then you could like plan activities to take them away from exercising.
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
had a student last semester.
I would just give
Addicted
everything.
to exercising.
What does that look like? Go to the gym every day, like.
In the gym at least 8 hours a day.
Oh.
Anyways, so like
Full-time job.
it's hard because all I want to do is I want to take the extra step and just like be their friend, but that's not my role
Yeah.
as their mentor.
Well, we invite you guys, with this discussion, we invite you guys to think about some of the signs. Think about ways that you can recognize maybe potential struggles that people may have. And try and be a little bit more aware of how we can help people with those addictions. We're not going to be a counselor. You don't need to go get a degree in it, but be aware of maybe some of the effects of certain things, and try and just continue to build relationships with people so that you can get to the point of asking them and trying to help them.
I think it's good. We talked about it in our group. They may not see something as a problem, but to be able to say, I see your grades have slipped. You haven't been coming to class as much. is this a problem for you? Do you see it as a problem? And then you can kind of see where they're at. If they say, no, I don't, say, why is it not a problem for you then? You know, you've paid money. How much did you pay for school? You know, who's invested in this? But they've got to recognize it as a problem. And if they recognize it a problem, and they say, well, do you want to fix it? If they say yes, then you say, okay, well, what are the biggest obstacles that are preventing you from? So to see if they're willing to be honest with themselves. They may only give superficial answers, but at least you're providing them the opportunity to admit, you know, to recognize, and to do something about it.
And I think one of the biggest ways to help them, I mean, if they don't want to see it, is to maybe beating the dead horse, to look at that what's the word?
Self-betrayal.
Self-betrayal. I couldn't think of the word. The self-betrayal of maybe asking them, what are your values?
Yeah.
What's important to you? How are you actually showing that that's important? What do you think about, like, what are the values that you have, and what are the values that you're doing? Like, are those the same? Do they lie together? Are they completely different? If you value family, spending 8 hours in the gym and spending no time with your family obviously shows that you don't value your family as much as you think you do. So you're betraying yourself by doing that. And so just kind of helping them see that, I think it's self-betrayal is a wonderful thing to understand, and that's one thing we're getting out of this course.
And even just maybe like saying something, even just asking them, showing them you care, is kind of like a knock at the door to help them open it, you know. Even if they do give you a superficial answer at first, it may open the door to a real answer.